rail should be just a little bit wider than the case. We want to give it a little bit of wiggle room in there, but it just helps guide the case.
There is no sensor that's
Sensor? No, it's all timer related. So as the case exits, we have timers in here that tell us when to start and stop this conveyor. So how long to run, when to start, and then when to stop. And that's what spaces the cases out. There's no photo eye on here. Okay. Product conveyor. This guy is called the colorful case switch. So as the operators are loading, I know you guys have them on the other line. When they're done, they're finished, they just swipe their finger and the case will index one at a time. You also have this guy here, e-stop on the top, manual and auto. I believe that's just going to put the machine in single mode or continuous mode. So manual, it's going to be they're manually swiping their finger, index the cases. Auto, it's just going to be sending them through every so many seconds. Product conveyor on and off, that's for this guy. You can control the speed of it. And then your carton feed, I'm assuming, is down there. And it tells the upstream stuff to turn on and off. Questions about any of this stuff? It's going to shut down all of the combi equipment, anywhere.
Yeah, you already go through.
Yes. Yeah. E-stops are global, so that'll shut this down, the case director, the product, it'll shut it all down. So those are for emergencies. Okay. If you have to access one machine, just open the door. Or do a cycle stop, open the door, and you can go. Okay?
Cycle stop, and then open the door.
Cycle stop.
Stop.
Not opening the door first.
You guys have a bunch of these. There's just a couple of adjustments on here. Letter M is your operator belt. That's just the width of it. Same thing as the erector. Just make sure it's tight enough where it's driving the case through. It's not stuttering or anything like that. Letter N, that's your upper rack assembly centering. Okay, so that moves this entire assembly in and out. Okay, and we just want to make sure that when the case comes through and we fold the top of the case, that there's equal amount of tape applied to both sides. Okay, so if you're favoring one side compared to the other, all you have to do is just come here and just make a minor adjustment. Okay? You can move that in and out. Letter O, there's two of these. There's one on each side. These can be moved in and out. You just have to remember when you're changing recipes, if you're using these, you don't always have to use them. But when you move this belt out, you'll have to move this out too, or else the first case you send in there, it's going to crash. Those rollers are designed to apply a little bit of side pressure to the case. Okay, so sometimes we get a gap on top of the box. Some people, don't mind it. Others want the case completely closed. So you can apply those, put those rollers in to push the top of the case shut a little bit more. Okay. Letter P is up here. The dial indicator's on the inside right here. That's the height of this assembly here. Up and down, this entire thing. Again, kind of like your hold down plate on the erector, we want to make sure this is skimming right over top of the box to where it's a nice tight case on the top. There's no gap or anything like that. If it's too low, the case will crash. Now, your top tape head, it is locked in place, okay? There's a little thumb screw behind this motor right here.
Okay. The taper, this is the same on the first one?
Yes. And then you can slide it forward. And
The other one doesn't have?
I'm sorry?
The other one doesn't have the lock?
No.
Okay. That's it.
Just the top one.
Okay.
So this is the same exact tape head. It's just the opposite hand and it's flipped upside down. Okay. But it is the same thing. Threads the same way. It has the same felt pad behind here. So that's pretty much the only thing. You guys aren't monitoring the tape, so it's not as big of a deal. Sometimes we're monitoring tape application, and that way you can't really put this head in the erector or else it wouldn't work. You guys aren't doing that, so I guess in a pinch, you could take this tape head and put it in there. It's just you'll see this is on the operator side now.
So this will be ready.
Yeah. If you look at that tape head, this and everything is on the back side, but we're not monitoring tape application, so in a pinch you could do that. The only thing is the springs are different. Okay, so on that tape head there should be a black spring, and on this tape head there's a silver spring. Okay, silver springs. The black spring is harder. Black goes in the bottom. Black bottom. Silver is the top. Silver is a lot lighter because this tape head's inverted like this, and you have gravity helping you push these rollers back down. I don't need as much tension. The black spring's a lot harder because the tape head's like this, so I have to push them up. Okay, so if you ever do have to swap tape heads or you buy new tape heads or whatever, make sure you pay attention to the springs. Okay, black bottom, silver top. Okay. And when you go to put this guy back in here, and then lock it back into place. Okay, you don't have to get crazy on this. It's just a little thumb screw, 1/4 thumb screw. So I see people get crazy with these and snap them off all the time. So don't do that.
There's a water right here. The other one.
Yeah. So to change these belts, you'll have to take this outer cover off. It's just a couple Phillips head screws. And then you'll have to either, you have to unwire the motor, or I just take these 4 bolts off and just pop the motor off. It just sits down with a keyway and a little coupler. Just pop the motor off, and then you can take the belt off, put the new one on. It's not crazy.
So we have to put the motor out?
Yes. You either have to pull the motor or you have to unwire it, because you have to get it around this cable. I always tell people if you want to upgrade it and put quick disconnects on here, that's the easiest way.
Yeah. We do that.
That's why I tell.
Or you remove the other one, the other belt, the other side.
To get to the other side, if you don't want to have to pull all the panels off the back, the cards, I would just take this up out of your way, and then you can kind of get in there and access it. It's a little bit of a pain, but
The belts are moving with a chain and sprocket inside, no? Right here, no?
yes.
Todavía tenemos ahí cadena. Es igual, esa parte es igual.
Chain and sprocket. Again, these are metric. I like to try and point out the metric items on here.
We need it because the whole machine, all the other ones, they were standard.
Yeah. Well, any of these belt drives, they're all made in Italy from 3M.
They did.
So it's all metric. So anything that gets put into this belt drive here is all metric. Okay. So these are metric. Your tape head is metric.
Now the
And a couple
kicker.
of the bearings.
Now the kicker works with a sensor, not activated, but a sensor.
Yeah.
Instead of pressure switch.
Correct. So that photo eye that's at the infeed there, that's in a fixed spot. It's locked down. So that's what tells this guy to go up. And then there's a timer in the screen to tell it when to go back down. And that's all off of that photo eye. This morning I put red Sharpie marks on both sides of that photo eye bracket. That should never move. You don't move the photo eye. It's all timer.
Okay.
If you move the photo eye, if all your timers they're gone. You have to redo them. So I like putting marks on there, so if it does get moved or comes loose or whatever, you can put it back there. Well, you'll see that when the case enters, the leading edge of the case triggers that photo eye. It goes up to break the flap, and then it comes back down to trap the trailer.
So that one doesn't have the quick release, or it has a speed.
It's fixed in place.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it never moves. It's all timer. Yeah, you don't have to slide it back and forth. You know, I know the old ones you had to move the photo eye depending on. Yeah, but it's all timer, recipe-driven numbers. Questions on this guy?
So retention chain, we have to pull out all the brake.
You can pull the entire drive. So if you want to pull the entire drive, it's this screw here, and then there's one, you just take it down over there. It's right on the other side of the motor, and you can pull the whole drive out. It's very easy. Good. And then your main air is down here for the sealer. Your main air for the erector and everything is in the back there, kind of below the product conveyor. And it has a digital pressure gauge. Those are set. If the air is out of parameter, it'll give you an alarm. What's that?
Somebody changing the settings out, you will have a flash.
You'll know. It'll be in the red. Whether or not somebody changes them on your end, I'm sorry, but not my problem.
The one you said on the bottom, the vacuum at the
vacuum release?
Yeah.
Yes.
You do it right here?
Yes. Yep. I'm gonna go over all that with you right now.
Okay.
Can we see the pressure of the vacuum on the top?
Not on here. You can only do it on the nose.
Okay.
Some of the stuff on the HMI here. Obviously, you have some buttons down below here. Pretty self-explanatory. This is a system start. This will start the entire system here. Okay. Cycle stop. This is a cycle stop. So if the machine is in motion, okay, if it is making a case, it will finish that motion and then it will come to a controlled stop. Obviously, if there's an emergency, you can hit this button or open up the door and it'll stop it immediately. If you open a door, you hit an e-stop, or there's an alarm, you have to clear a case jam. You have to enter the machine, clear that case jam out, close the door, you can come over here, and you can hit reset, okay? When you do that, you'll hear the air kick back on. Anytime we open a door, we hit an e-stop, we drop the air, and we lose control power. Everything can be moved, nothing is going to fire, everything is kind of free at that point, okay? Your home screen, this is the current state of the machine right now. Right now we're stopped. CPM last just means case per minute. So how many cases per minute the machine is running. Single mode, I think you guys are pretty much always probably going to be in single mode. The operators, they're going to kind of be in manual. They can adjust it over there if they want it in continuous. If we have continuous flow and they can kind of get into a rhythm, then they can put it in their auto and it'll just go, you know, all by itself. But single mode is call for case, so they have to swipe their finger to index and move the machine. Along with swiping their finger, the ability to call for case is on the screen here too, so if you want it to move, they can press that button as well. Big one on your home screen is the current recipe, okay? Obviously, make sure that you're selected on the recipe for the case that you're running, okay? That's kind of a big one. They're all different. All the parameters are different. Servo settings, positions, everything is different per case. So you need to make sure you're running the correct recipe for the correct case. And they're all pretty self-explanatory. Current date and time is up here. if you press our Combi logo, you can have technical service, which is how you get a hold of my department. And then you have the parts department information down there as well. So if you guys ever need to order parts. Questions on your home screen? Okay. If there is ever any warnings, they'll be displayed in this little box here underneath main. So if there's like a case director mispick, if it mispicks a case out of the magazine, it'll be displayed there. There'll probably be a banner as well. Your alarm screen, if there is any active alarms, they will be displayed there. So if I hit an e-stop, there's a banner here, and there's also one here. So main trip HMI e-stop PB, that means push button. Okay, they tell you where everything is on the machine. Okay. You also have a history. So the history of all the alarms will be right here. So if the operators call you over here and say, hey, I keep having this fault, the machine keeps faulting, you can come over here, check the history of it and see it, and then you can start diagnosing it from there. I/O screen. Okay. So this is a picture of your input and output card. This is your PLC. It looks like this in the cabinet. Okay. Your green or your blue cards right here, 1, 2, and 3, those are all of your inputs. Inputs, all your photo eyes, sensors, all that good stuff. Everything is marked. So all your photo eye cables and everything are marked. They tell you what they are. So if it says I103, I know that that's the carriage home procs. Okay. And I can come over here. This is good for troubleshooting, diagnosing, okay? So if you can find that input and you come over here and you can have somebody flag that sensor or press that start button, you can see, or the stop button, you can see that input flashing, okay? If you're flagging that photo eye or you're pressing that button and you don't see anything happening on here, that's a good indication that either one, you have a bad sensor, or two, you have an electrical or wiring or cable issue somewhere, okay? It's good for troubleshooting. So 1, 2, and 3 are all inputs. The green ones, 4 and 5, are your outputs. All your outputs are mostly all your pneumatic functions on the machine. Okay?
Cylinder.
All your cylinders. I can actually fire those if I want. So you can go into test mode. When you go into test mode, we drop the air. You want to make sure the machine is reset. Then you can go into test mode and we dump the air. So if you go into your output card number 1 or output card 4 and it says erector main air, I can turn the main air back on. Now I can fire all my outputs. So if I want to fire the squaring arm, the trailing minor, I can fire the leading plow, the major flaps, all that good stuff. I can fire all those outputs independently. Okay, you can check the functionality of it. If you think you're having an issue with a cylinder, you change a cylinder, something, you can fire that output and you can, try and diagnose it, troubleshoot it from there. Okay. Questions on test mode. Okay. Your I/O screen is really good for troubleshooting, so I recommend you use it. Okay. If you think you're having an issue with something or a sensor problem, make sure you utilize that because it's for you guys. Now you have to get out of test mode so you can turn it off. I always like to just make sure you open a door or just hit an e-stop and then you can go ahead and reset and start from there. Just make sure you're out of test mode because if you're still in test mode and you go to try and do a cycle start, the machine's just going to sit there. It's not going to do anything. Okay.
Does it require any kind of code to get into that, or can anybody just get it?
Yeah, this is all a maintenance level. Yes. Next to your I/O screen, this is your manual screen. So you have a cycle step function here. Cycle step is going to make a case one step at a time. Okay? So I can turn on, make sure the machine is reset. He hit an e-stop. Yeah. Anyways, you can enable cycle step mode, and there's another box here
Tell them, hey, don't push the push. Dile que no le
Okay.
mueva nada.
So now cycle step mode is enabled. You can see the belt started turning here. Then I have cycle step here. Every time I want the machine to go to the next step, I just press cycle step. So step 1, it's going to extend out and it's going to pull vacuum to the case. Step 2, it's going to retract,
that's step by step.
square it, fire. Then it fires your trailing minor. And then it'll extend into the belts. And then it retracts and then you go back to step 0. Okay? So I always recommend, if the operators call you over and say, hey, we're having a lot of issues, cases keep crashing, something's out of whack, come over here, cycle step a case through. At that point, you can check all of your settings, make sure everything looks right with the case, and then make any adjustments that you need, and then go from there. Now, just like your I/O screen, you have to get out of cycle step mode, okay? So you can see this is still on. So when all these are gray, I can press stop, and it takes you out of cycle step mode. It's either that or open a door or hit an E-stop and reset. That'll take you out of there. Okay. There's really no reason to start all conveyors other than if you replace a motor or gearbox, you can start the conveyors from here. Your servo, so you have your carriage servo, then you have your vacuum pick servo. There's extended and retracted positions. We won't really dig too deep into it, but the biggest one is carriage home. So that's that home prox that's back there. Again, if the operators ever say they're having a lot of issues with something, cases keep crashing, I always recommend homing the servo. Now, if you power cycle the machine and I go and I hit start, the machine automatically will home itself before it starts. But you can go in here and you can home it. So all you have to do is make sure the machine is reset, hit carriage home, it squares, it fires the squaring arm, and it'll slowly jog back to its home prox, which is going to be 0. And then once it hits 0, it'll come back really fast to its set point. And that's how you home. And that's how you home the carriage. Okay? Now your vacuum pick, that's also on a servo. So your extended position is out to the magazine to pick. The retracted position, there's going to be values in there. Right now it's at 0.7 because it should be resting, when it pulls the case back, it should be resting nice and flat on that back rail. Okay? That's what that is too. Just like your carriage, there is a home for your vacuum pick there. So I'll jog it out a little bit. And then if I hit vacuum pick home, you'll see it slowly jogging back to its home. And then it's kind of re-zeroing itself from there. Questions on any of that? Okay.
The recipes.
Recipe screen. There's 4 recipes in here. They're all, different. The 20 count, 10, 50, 65. They're all in there. To change recipes, there's a little arrow pointing at the number. So if I jog up with the top and bottoms, these will jump you 10 spots. If I want to change recipes, I just point it at the recipe I want to go to and I hit enter. And that changes the recipe. So if I go to the home screen, now I'm on the 65 count recipe. Okay. So that's all you have to do.
Did you run already the recipes?
We did. The guy that was here last week did.
All of them?
We ran all 4 of them at Combi. We didn't.
Right here, no?
We did not. We only ran 2 here. So. That guide that I show you is also in this screen. And then we're not going to get into the copy and delete functions. All of your edit parameters, we're not going to really dig a whole lot into these. The reason I like to go through the machine is because I pointed out to you all those mechanical items inside. So when you know the terminology of the items inside the machine, these timers make a lot of sense. Vacuum plate extend delay, how long I wait till I extend the vacuum plate. When it's extended, how long I wait till I retract. The 2 in here that really make the biggest difference is your major flap extend delay that's those major flaps underneath your belts. And then your vacuum release delay, they're right next to each other here. So that's how long I hold on to the case. Those are the two most probably important timers when making a good square solid case. Okay?
The operator have no chance to change that?
No. This is all locked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Your sealer settings here, you have your flap kicker delay and flap kicker duration. So that's all off of that photo eye. The delay starts when I see that case hit that photo eye. The delay is how long I wait till I fire up. The duration is how long I stay up for before I fire back down. Okay? VFD, that's just the speeds of conveyors. Erector side belts, erector side belt tape speed. This is a high speed unit. These belts actually slow down as it's applying tape to the case. Okay? So you'll see it's about half the speed of normal running speed. And that's all timer. So you have a tape wipe slow delay and tape wipe slow duration. So when the case enters the belts, how long I wait till I slow the belts down. The duration is how long they're running slow forward. Okay? And then you have your case conveyor and your sealer side belt speed. Carriage extended position, that's carriage extended is all the way into the belts. Carriage retract position is retract where I picked the case from. Okay? So the goal of the retract position is I always pick the case on the major flap here. Okay? So when I pick the case and I square it, I want this case to be nice and square in that corner. And that all goes off of your carriage retract position. Okay? Box in here. And I pull it out to the case. I want it to be picking always on the major panel here. So then you can take that position and you can hit set.
The manual, we have information of how those things.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
And then these are just all of your speeds.
There's a lot of settings.
Yes. Questions on any of this stuff? You guys have to worry about. The config screen just tells you what options are enabled.
Just indicated.
Now, the discharge backup photo eye, that's the last thing I'll show you guys. On the discharge side of the sealer, zip tied up on the bottom of the frame, there's a photo eye that's down there and it's looking at a reflector. When you guys leave, you can look at it. It has to be looking at that reflector. That's designed to go on your discharge conveyor, okay? When it's blocked, or right now it's at 3 seconds, it will not let any more cases go through. It'll kind of just pause the machine, okay? And then you guys can clear that conveyor, then it automatically will restart.
Where is the photo?
It's on the discharge side of the seal.
It's on the end of
Zip tied on the frame.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then that's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Any questions?
You hungry?
My what?
You hungry?
Hungry?
Do you hungry?
Thirsty?
We have a
One thing only. The speed of the machine. It was adjusted the limits, so it cannot the timer at the end. So how fast it can go? It was adjusted or no?
You can really.
No, not here. On the outside for the operator.
You can't just turn a knob and adjust the speed of the machine. It's a preset case per minute rate.
Yes, but the case per minute, it is.
Right here?
Yeah.
CPM. Looks like it was at 15.5 cases per minute. You can't adjust the case per minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you go and start adjusting a bunch of settings.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. You guys tell us how fast you want to go. We make the machine run that fast, and that's where it's at.
Okay, no, I'm fine. So you don't crash.
Yeah.
That's the purpose, the maximum, so you don't crash. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Any questions?